First step is we're gonna undo all the shit that we just did by first reinstalling the flywheel and the clutch. So you have to take the clutch off. In this case, this is a twin disc clutch. You have to take this off to get the flywheel on by itself. There. That's some meat on those clutch pads. Okay. One of the things, Jarrett, is see that center hole right there?
Yeah.
That's the pilot bearing. There's actually a bearing inside of here. So this is a competition clutch dual disc, and this is a new thing for me. I'm used to my little triple plate sex sandwich, but that's no more. So what we're gonna do is, you're gonna see some movie magic. I'm gonna assemble all the plates onto the backside of here because the intermediate pieces slide onto here. It's kind of difficult if you try to build it on the engine. We're gonna build it on the clutch transmission side, and then take that with the alignment tool and transplant it all onto the flywheel. Here's the other one. Engine, side of disc, nice there, but here's the magic. Now even the discs aren't gonna be aligned with each other, so I have to spin it around a little bit. So what's really important is that you can see that even the alignment tool is able to be moved. So your goal is to not let it be affected by gravity and keep it as centered as possible. And getting it tight enough that you can do this. See how it moves and stays a little bit? The main part of this whole build is the T56. And so we're about to test fit it. I already know, because of the shifter being in a shorter distance, it's shorter from the engine block, that we're gonna have to manipulate in to get the shifter to fit in this area. So we're really going to plan a lot of test fitting. Hopefully this exhaust allows us to clear the wider transmission. If it doesn't, we're screwed. So the first good news is, not first good news, but one set of good news is that it definitely clears the exhaust pipe. Jack it up. In both the T56 and the T56 Magnum, they are shorter transmissions than the stock FD one. The base of the shifter is several inches forward than the stock position. So something like this, which is one of multiple products that work, this is the Sicky shifter, and that transplants the base further back. So what you see is this top spine right here is something that is actually transplanting the distance backwards. So it has a little bit more linkage, but it also raises the height of the transmission. So you can see we had to cut into the body of the car. So the pilot bearing inside of the E-shaft was big enough to allow this in, but because this is maybe a plastic of some sort, it would form in and get inside of the bearing. The metal was not the same. So what we ended up doing was taking down just a slight bit of edge, right on the front edge here. So that way we had a little bit of a alignment to be able to get that in there. Still couldn't fit it in. And if you get to a problem where you're saying, let me wrench and close the gap, kind of make a vise between the engine and the transmission with the transmission bolts, do not do that. I did that long ago in my 2-rotor, and all it does is it breaks the individual little rollers and they snap in there and it welds the clutch basically all together, so you have no clutch. In our case, we were able to get the transmission finally to a level, and it popped. Greatest feeling in the world. Moving on to the rear of the car, we're installing a totally different subframe. Now this is not necessarily required with the T56, but it's kind of part and parcel. The diff is massive. You can see how big it is. I'm not wearing my goggles at the moment because I was just trying one bolt, but please wear goggles. It's powder coated blue, so we want to make sure that we're protecting that from the jack. We got alignment bolts, got a lot of that sort of stuff, but the interesting thing is that I'm still using stock fuel lines, which surprisingly can handle quite a bit of horsepower. The thing is, these lines need some special treatment. I had to beat this bin in just a little bit to give basically a recess for the fuel lines. So this is probably the center of it all. Granted, it's a relatively simple piece of metal. It is the culmination of having a T56 and a wild rear end. Now, the interesting part is this is the part that scared me from doing this by myself in terms of a completely custom kit, because I don't know about measuring, sizing, or anything like that. The funny part is, it ends up looking almost like the stock drive shaft, but a couple telltale signs, more splines, meatier, better construction. So we'll go ahead and put it in and everything will connect up under the car. There's almost dropped on my face. So the T56 Magnum actually has triple synchros, which is identical to the TR6060. So this would be something that you'd find almost exactly in a recently discontinued Viper and a lot of modern manual sports cars. So this is a beastly transmission. Of course, the weight justifies that. So this beast weighs an extra 50 pounds and puts quite a bit of strain on those motor mounts. Certainly a good reason for this custom engine and transmission brace. Once it fits, it's nothing on this car. Even though this kit has been flushed out, nothing fits perfectly. It does not fit like OEM at all. Okay, so this is about 18 hours after we've begun this journey of installing the T56 Magnum as well as the Ford 8.8 rear end, and this is the maiden voyage. The only downside is that I don't have the reverse lockout thing wired up, so my maiden voyage doesn't start here. We're gonna have to push it, get it some momentum down the driveway, and then go into first. So let's see some gears. Okay, so that was a very triumphant return to having power to the ground. A couple key notes. First is that the shift is very short distance. It's like a short throw, and it's not even a short throw. The other thing is that it is a little hard to tell what gear I'm in. Obviously not by sound or knowing the gear, but physically, like it's kind of weird telling what gear you're in. The clutch squeaked a little bit. I'm assuming that I had grease on. You know, it's first time wearing it off, but it's a very light clutch, which kind of scares me in terms of burning through it. The starter is much faster, and that might actually help my starting issues, but I got some issues some little gremlins to tune out. But the gears, there's power in every gear. It's solid. The shifting was pretty clean. I ground second gear once, but we'll continue seeing how this goes. So very happy, blown away that it actually worked right the first time.